Hey friends, it's Stephanie here with the Only God podcast. And today I have a new friend, Genia Wilgus, on with us. And Gina, I would love for you to share a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Thank you, Stephanie. Again, my name is Genia Wilgus. I am a resident of Valpo. My husband and I have lived here for 20 years, but he is a native of Valpo. He graduated from Washington Township, and so we love our town. We have three girls, and they also live in Valpo. They are married with children. Um, and I was blessed with two other children from Randy's previous marriage. So we have five children
Oh,
total.
wow.
Yeah, we have 10 grandchildren, three great grandchildren, and I'm sure more to come. So we're a very active family. We love when our kids come home. We're empty nesters. And so when they come home, we try to make it a great occasion. We still have Sunday dinners at our house. Once in a while, the girls will take over for me. But most of the Sundays we have here, and we respect that they have a busy life also. So even if we can get an hour or two from them every week, it's amazing. I have been a nurse for, oh golly, 33 years, I think it is. I'm actually now working at a doctor's office. I've been there for about 20 years. Brandy and I have been married for 31 years. So yeah, we have longevity in all of these things. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much to share or for
Absolutely.
sharing. And I just since we have an audience that is nation and I hope worldwide, is that Valpo is Valparaiso, Indiana.
Yes.
But what Gina's going to be talking about, her ministry is here. And I just want to comment, like, I love that your family makes Sunday dinners a priority. Like, how special it is to have that time. And wow, so I just want to say that's really cool that
Thank
you
you.
guys do that and your whole family makes it a priority.
Yeah. We at least have 2 to 3 of the girls that come. The other kids don't live in town, and so it's funny because when we don't have Sunday dinners, it's usually my son-in-laws that are the ones that say, "Are we going to have Sunday dinners again?" Because we maybe have been busy or whatever.
Right.
And so I made that when my girls started getting married. I made that because we had it before they got married. I made that a very important thing. I'm like, I want to be that house that our children come back to.
Yeah.
And so we have just done that because in today's families we all have split, unfortunately, and we just kind of do our own thing. And so I wanted it to be a priority of our kids still coming back home.
No, I love that. And I even think about when I was growing up. I mean, my sister and I were in sports. We were a very busy household. We had stuff every evening, but sometimes it was like 9 o'clock. But my parents were adamant, like, we are going to sit around the table. We're going to talk about the day. And I'm like some of your children. I don't live close to my parents, but when I'm home, like we have dinner around the table when I
Yeah.
am home. And again, it might be late. My mom might have something at church or a meeting, or my dad might be working, but it's like so important that
Yeah.
we gather around the table. And there's something to be, actually, I think there's research about families that gather around the table. And so thank you for sharing that with
Yeah.
us. I always love to start with like only God connection and how we met. And I attended a fundraiser, which I almost didn't go. And because I mean, I knew my friend, our mutual friend Becky, had invited me. But sometimes I could be like quite an introvert and like, oh gosh, I don't want to go somewhere where I don't know many people. And I just want that to be a challenge for the listener is like there's power in showing up and God will do, I think, sometimes amazing things or make divine connections when we show up. And me showing up at that, I got to hear your story and I was like, this is an only God story. I got to have Gina on the podcast. And so you can share whatever you want. I would love to share what you shared that day.
Awesome. Um, so my husband and I we're very blessed. We have just kind of a normal family. We've always kind of invited people into our home if necessary. We've had my parents live with us. My aunt and uncle have lived with us. We've had some nieces and nephews have lived with us. And so we've have a bigger home, and we're like, if we have an empty bed or room and someone needs a place to live, we've just done that. So for 30 some years of our marriage, I've invited people in, and my sweet husband has just allowed it. Instead of bringing puppies in, I bring people.
I love
And
that.
so,
The gift of hospitality. It is a true
yes,
gift. Yeah.
yes, and that is, I've always felt that that's what God has given me. I've asked many years, God, what have you, like, what's my gift? And people have started telling me, well, you're the gift of hospitality. My mother was that way. And so I got that naturally from her. She always would always have meals and bring meals to other people and have people at her home. And I love that about her. And so I continue that here.
I love
So in saying that, my husband had a double lung transplant about 7.5 years ago. And we went through a lot of trials with that. He's doing so well now. He's doing amazing.
Praise the Lord.
And we just realized how blessed we are. And so we have that in our story. That was kind of our first like real trial and tribulation of our life, because our kids are healthy. They never got into any abuse or any drug use, or we've just been 5 children, and you don't have any of that in today's world. That's a big deal.
Right.
And they're very happily married, and just all of those wonderful things. Then Randy got sick, and now he got better, and he's actually able to have a job. So a few years back, my daughters and I were just kind of driving in the car like we do, and we love spending time together on the weekend whenever we can. And so we just kind of having like this story of life type thing. And so, what do you want to do, Mom? And I'm like, I just don't see my life being at the doctor's office. That's where I'm going to retire. I see doing something else. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I'd like to open a maternity home. And they're like, Mom, well, then just do it. So I guess I should take a couple steps back, because why would I say maternity home?
Yeah, that was going to be my
Yes.
question. That seems like,
Yes.
for the listener, that seems like really out in left field, like maternity.
Yes.
Like the audience just went, what?
Yeah, I know, because it's definitely not in the field of what I do, other than I love mamas and babies. But
So you're, as a nurse, can I just ask you too,
Yes.
like real quick, like as a nurse, what type of nurse are you? You say you worked in a doctor's office. So are you
Yes.
in peds? Are you in maternity? Or
well, I work with an allergist, and
Okay.
we take care of babies from 0 to 100 years old,
Okay.
adults. So I deal with every age group. I love them all. I always said I never work in a peds office because I wanted to have children. But I used to say I wanted 10 children. My husband said absolutely not. But isn't it something, we have over 10 grandchildren? So
Yeah.
God is fulfilling that dream for me easily.
I love that. Okay, so you're in an allergist's office. You're not working
Yeah.
in the maternity ward.
Nope. And
Okay.
I've never done that. So,
Okay.
but I work with lots of babies,
Yeah.
mamas, all age of people. So, and at that type of doctor's office, you get to know people, because they come in for allergy shots once a week, and so you really get to know who their family is. They're, all the ins and out about our patients, which is kind of fun. So, anyways, about 4.5 years ago now, I think, my daughter had introduced us to a young lady that was going to church with them, and she was pregnant. And so she, come to find out, once she had her baby, she was at a shelter in town. She couldn't stay there. She was on the recovery end of the shelter. And so their goal there is recovery for her, and not taking care of her infant, because she needed to deal with recovery. And so she had no plan of what she was going to do after she had her baby. So we got to know her from church. She would come over to the house and just get to know our family. And so after months of doing this, my husband and I prayed about it, and we asked her if she'd like to come home from the hospital with her baby. And so prior to asking her, she asked me to go to her doctor's appointment. And so I did. I was like, she said, come in the doctor's office with me. And I'm like, oh, okay, And I thought that was a a privilege of mine that she would actually want me to sit next to her while he actually examined her. And he said, okay, you'll have a baby in about 3-4 weeks. And he loved the situation that she and I were developing. But I hadn't told her yet. I asked her to come to live with us. Wow. So we went home. My husband and I asked her if she'd like to come and live with us. And she said, absolutely. Well, God had some things in plan. She had that baby that night.
Oh
yes.
my gosh.
Yes. I was like, I think it was actually the next day, but she went into labor that evening after she got home. She had a massage. She had relaxed. She had this life plan, next life, what she was going to do. And I just think God said, okay, now it's the time. Isn't that amazing?
Why wait? Only God, though.
Only God. Only God. I kept saying that, like, this is crazy. So my daughter was able to go and help her in the delivery room. My other daughter came and relieved her, and then I had to work all day. So at 7 p.m., I came to the hospital. And so when I got there, she just wasn't in good shape. She had a beautiful birth, but the afterbirth was not good. I mean, meaning the time after she had her baby was not good. She was, I actually got there and she was bleeding heavily. And knowing what as a nurse, I'm like, this isn't right. And she was not acting right. She was very angry. And my other daughter said, this is not how her birth went. So we were able to get the nurses in. Unfortunately, knowing that they knew her history, they were not kind to her because they thought that she was drug seeking. Yeah. And she wasn't. She was needing help. Yeah. She actually was bleeding out. She had a hematoma. They had to take her into surgery. So I sat there with an infant in my arms that I just met. And I just met her mama months ago. And I said, shouldn't we do some kind of paperwork or something? What if you don't come back? And she said, she literally put her arm up and she says, I'll be back. And I'm like, okay. And she went off to surgery, and hours later, she came back, and did okay. And so, in the scheme of things, we also had a wedding. So we weren't planning on her to deliver. My husband was officiating a wedding. So she had the baby on Thursday, and he was officiating this wedding on Saturday for our grandson. So we had to go to this wedding. The hospital said she had to stay until Monday. So again, another God thing. Most babies come home in a couple days, right? And so baby needed to stay in the hospital, as did she, for recovery. And so she wasn't coming home till Monday. In the time that before she came home, my daughters were able to get on the phones with their friends, go to a garage sale, get everything they needed to have a baby, because we didn't have all this stuff.
Right. Well, plus you thought you had a couple of weeks to prepare to bring the baby into the home.
We were planning on a shower and everything. So she came home from with the baby on Monday, and life started. She needed some help because she just had surgery. She was recovering, but it was a lot of pain. Baby was a special needs. He was born right at 5 pounds and was losing a little bit of weight, which babies do. But she had to be fed every 2 hours round the clock, and so it was a lot at first, but I loved having her in our home. I loved it. She got better. She started a job. I would say she was 8 weeks out of having the baby and got a job in town. And so we helped to watch the little baby, and she went to work. In time, she was able to get services to get her own apartment. So that's another God story. She had nothing. She came to my house with bags of clothes. Wow. And I think she had a couple baby items, but nothing else. And so we were able to reach out to our community and say, hey, we have a mom that's getting a new apartment. She has nothing. And multiple people gave us everything that she needed to get into this apartment. Plus, it was just amazing. Absolutely amazing. And in time, we even had a store in town give her some more supplies that she needed, all pro bono. So we got her into her apartment with the baby, and I remember dropping her off. At that time, she didn't have a car. And I said to her, I said, we love you. And she said, you guys saved my life. And I'm like, no, you saved my life. Because at that time, when she came into our life, I just felt like my life just was kind of over in the sense of I wasn't a mother anymore, as a mother being needed by children. And so she came into my life and fulfilled that need. And so once she left, which was like 5 or 6 months later, I felt that God had changed me, and made me whole, where the point where, okay, I can be an empty nester. It's okay now. It's okay. And so I left, and she started her life with her and her baby. We were still active in her life. And in time, she was able to afford a car because she was working. Baby got childcare. And God bless, it's been 3.5 years. And
Oh
she's
my
still
gosh.
clean. Mama's clean. Baby's going to daycare. Mama has a job. She has a couple of jobs right now. I mean, so she's making it happen. Is it
Yeah.
easy? No. No, it's not. And do we still help her some? Absolutely. We want her, she has to work. And so if she needs help with childcare on the off hours of the daycare, we try to assist in that.
Yeah.
And I've got other people to help her also. Friends of mine now are also the grandparents to this little girl. So it is a
Aw.
community. It's a
Such
community.
a community. I've got a couple of questions for you
Yes. Yes.
because um, if somebody is listening to this and God is calling them to do something that seems really outside of maybe their comfort zone or their, the realm of what they normally do, having a stranger, even though you'd gotten to know her, really a stranger come in, like you said, that had drug problems, was in recovery, and then a baby,
Yeah.
like what does that look like, and how do you take that step of faith to
Yeah.
go, okay, this isn't about me anymore. It's really about what God is calling me to do. So that's kind of my first
Yeah. Yeah.
question, because I think so much time we live in fear. We talk ourselves out of giving and serving other people. We want to sit in comfort. Probably more comfort for you and your husband, to go, you know what, this is going to be a lot. So
Right.
can you
Right.
talk through
Right.
that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. We were blessed with this big house, and there's nobody in it but he and I. And I'm like, I used to fill it with my children and other people. And so I just felt God calling us that this is what he wanted to do. Now, I did have to go to my husband and, really talk and say, we don't have to do this. And he said, if you feel that God's calling you this, then we need to do that. You know, I prayed about it. I read the Bible and say, God, show me where you say I should do this. And I mean, time and time again, I would just get this affirmation that we need to help this person. That, what is the worst thing that she could do? Could she ruin my house? Things can be fixed. Can she take money that we have? We don't have any money. I mean, we don't have anything more than anyone else. We're just average people. And so I was like, what's the worst thing that could happen? She could use drugs in the house. Well, then she'll have to leave. I mean, so you go over all of these things, and it's like, but what could also happen is good stuff,
Right.
good things that God has for us, and that's what I kept looking at, was the good stuff. I mean, people would believe me. I had to tell my boss that I'm bringing in a lady that was a former drug user into my home, and she's like, "Are you crazy?" And I'm like, "But why wouldn't I? I mean, I don't know. I just always see the good, the glass is half full, not half empty." And I just kept feeling this nudge from God. And my husband was just like, I had just told him I won't ask anybody else to come in our house, as my aunt and uncle just had moved out like 6 months earlier. And so it was just kind of crazy how it all happened. But I would encourage people. It's like, if you see a need, whatever it is, if someone needs a meal, or someone needs to be taken to the store, or there are needs of people out there.
Yeah.
And you can, there's just simple things you can do. Yeah, it's nice to give your money, but time, people need time. Children need grandparents, right? I was blessed to have grandparents that just love me unconditionally. This little girl had a grandma at the time, but she lived in Illinois, and she was not active in their life when she came into the world. And so we just wanted to be that for her and being a support for Mama.
Yeah. I love that. And I love that, you did go to God in prayer. You were in your Bible. You were seeking like affirmation. So I
Yeah.
think that's good. I love the question too. It's a question I use with my coaching clients all the time when, like they want to do something that's scary. It's like, what's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we don't even pause to ask ourselves thoughtful questions. And that's such a thoughtful question because when you run that out, you're right. Like, the
Yeah.
worst that could happen really isn't that bad, but we often think about the negative side of
Yeah.
everything. And I love that is like, no, let's look at the good in so much. Like, what a blessing that would have been blocked if you hadn't been
Yeah.
obedient and surrendering your life. And what I love, I just want to comment, and then I want you to continue your story, is like at the end of the day, you said it like saved your life.
Yeah.
So here you thought, and I saw this
Right.
on my giving journey all the time, is like we think we're helping
Yeah.
people. And at the end of the day, the Lord, like only God knows though
Yeah.
what you needed, but
Yeah.
you being obedient is how you got what you needed by serving someone
Yeah.
else.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea I needed that.
Hmm.
I just knew something was missing, and my God, who would have known that it was this?
Yeah.
And God fulfilled that.
And God said,
Yeah.
I know though, because I know your
Yeah.
heart and I know what you're
Yeah.
missing. I love that. So I'll let you continue the
Yes.
story.
Oh,
I love this. And I didn't know that whole part. So you didn't share a
yeah.
lot of that at a day. So this is like new time for me too.
Yeah.
I love this.
Life went on. She was in her home, and my husband and I were enjoying being empty nesters and doing great. Again, my daughters were in the car situation. They asked what I wanted to do. I said a maternity home. And so at the exact same time, we were in church and they were doing Bible recap, and that's reading the Bible from beginning to end. And I feel like I've been a Christian my whole life. I was raised in the church. I was raised. My parents were divorced when I was 9, and it's kind of funny because my mother was Baptist, my stepfather was Catholic, my dad was Lutheran, my stepmother went anywhere my dad would go, and so we had a little bit of everything, and
Yeah.
so. I was saved at a very young age, and then my husband and I, when we started going to church, we went to another denomination. So it's just kind of funny how all of that worked out. So we I started to read the Bible. I started to pray about what does God have for me. And I really didn't know. I've been asking, like, what's this spiritual gift thing that I hear the pastor talking about? And I'm in my 50s and could not figure that out. And so I was reading through the Bible, kept getting this affirmation. What do you want me to do? And so then I started telling some friends about it, and it was kind of like an embarrassment. Like, okay, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy when I say this. I had some friends over for dinner, and I'm like, so what do you think about me starting a maternity home? And they were like, that's great. That sounds just like you, Gina. And then
Can I
I have
ask you
another.
about that?
Yes,
Were
yes,
you careful about who you told?
yeah,
I know. I bring that up because I
yeah,
think so many times when God lays these big, crazy,
yeah,
let's just say dreams or
yeah,
desires,
yeah,
that a lot of times if we tell people too soon or if we
yeah,
tell the wrong people, they can kind of squash
yeah,
what
yeah,
we're called to do. And I think a lot of times those dreams die because of other people's opinions or they start to cause doubt. And so,
yeah,
were you careful about even those women that were
yeah,
around the table of who you
yeah,
trusted because like you're like, okay, these are my gals who are going to support me,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
also about I want to like challenge women, men, whoever is listening to this is if you're on that other side of the table, if the Gina is sitting down in front
yeah,
of you telling you this big thing of what helped you, what encouragement did they give you, what reaction that was
yeah.
supportive for you to move forward.
I was waiting with bated breath, like, oh, they're gonna think I'm crazy, And they both were, and the husband was even more than the wife, and he's like, absolutely. Why wouldn't you want to do this? And she's like, I mean, she just really didn't say anything because she was just so in awe that I would think of it. I was like, wow, they like me. They really like me. And I'm like, so you think I could do this? And they're like, yes, and we're going to support you. I'll be on your board. I'll do whatever you need. I was like, really? I mean, such self-doubt that
Yeah.
we give ourselves. I mean, I remember when one of my daughters said, Mom, because I had told my family, just the immediate core, this is something I want to do. And one of them said, Mom, if this is something you want to do, then just do it. Don't talk about it. You have to do it. And it was like a call to action, right?
Yeah.
But I took that. I'm gonna go in God in prayer, and I'm gonna pray about it, and I'm going to read the Bible and go from there. So then I started telling people, and then I have another friend that actually just started a non-for-profit about 1 year prior to me. And so our ministries really do kind of go together, as hers is a ministry of recovery. And so I'm sure, some of the people that I'll be dealing with, and I've already dealt with, is going to be in recovery.
Right.
And so she said, okay, this is what we're going to do to get you started. I mean, she was just such an encouragement. I'm going to introduce you to this person, and you're going to network with this person. And my head was just spinning. I'm like, oh my golly, this is happening. Like, really? And so then I said, okay, she's like, you need to have a meeting. I'm like, well, who's going to come to this meeting? That means you have to tell everybody, right? And so then I just started putting it in the ear of a couple people at church that I trusted, that I trusted because of my self-doubt of telling anybody that I didn't trust. And then I started saying, okay, I'm going to have a meeting on this day. Can you come to my house? I'll make breakfast, and we'll have coffee. And so I'm like trying to entice them to come over and hear about this. It's funny because when I had the meeting, very few of them ate because they were so intrigued about what we were talking about. I also invited another person. Her name's Becky Bailey, and
I know Becky.
Yes, she has a maternity home and a pregnancy center in another town. So I asked her if she would come and just kind of tell them what Bella Vita does and how their home is, how all that works. And so she came, and she had also offered me if we wanted to do this, that we could go under her 501c3 nonprofit until we got our own. So we have all this information coming to my house, and my friends are like, yeah, let's do this. And I'm like, okay, so now what, And so then the meeting started. We just started meeting with everybody, anybody. I went to the mayor of my town, spoke to my church, other churches, and continued this meetings with we call it our advisory team. Yeah. It's just asking other people to get involved with us that see that this is a necessity needed. This is something that's needed in Valparaiso.
Right.
As we don't have anything in Porter County for pregnant women pre and post delivery. That would be our demographics. Yeah. We would open up an actual home for women pre and post delivery that just need support, that are unhoused, whatever their background looks like. If they meet our criteria, that would be the people that we would be our demographics. Yeah. And so one of my daughters is a social worker, and she's like, Mom, you got to learn the lingo of all of this, because it's funny the things you need to know when you're getting into a business as this, like demographics. That's a different word that, I normally wouldn't use, and resources. And so the more education I got on what we were looking for, the more I felt able to talk to other people. Mm-hmm. Because when I first started, I felt so inept. Yeah. And just, I'm like, again, self-doubt comes in. Mm-hmm. And how do I talk to this professional? How do I go to the mayor? He knows so much. And I remember him saying, don't quit your day job. And I was like, okay, I don't plan on that right away.
Well, what I love too is, God calls us to do things that we don't know anything about or very little about, because then he gets the glory. We have to only, the scripture, I can't actually, it's like one of the theme scriptures. I should have it memorized, but it's like, if you're going to boast on me, boast on what me, only God can do. And that's what I love about your story, because it's like, God dropped this, I think, in your heart, but then it's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but what I love is you kept taking action. And I listened to a sermon the other day by Craig Goshnell. I may have pronounced his name wrong, but he said, this is the most paralyzed generation of our time. And I so see that because it's like scared to take a step, scared to make a mistake, scared to take action. And so you're just paralyzed. And what I hear you saying over and over again is you just kept taking action and kept taking a step, and somebody opened a door or made an introduction, which I think is also a good reminder for people is God just may be calling, and I don't want to just say yes because it can be powerful, but opening that door. If you're meeting with Gina or someone like Gina and someone pops in your head, don't doubt that. Like don't make a decision for that person is going to say, like make the connection for Gina and then let that person decide if they're going to say yes or no. Because I think a lot of times we can block those connections and what God's trying to do. So that's amazing. So now you've like stepped out, you've had meetings, you have this, this go from this idea of I want to have a maternity home to we're going to do this. Where are you at now? And how long has this been from like the idea to where you're at now?
So we officially started our meetings 1 year in November. It'll be a whole year.
Congratulations.
We're actually going to have a retreat for our advisory team. So our advisory team went from 10 people at my house to now we have to meet at larger venues because we have 30 to 35 people.
That's so
men
cool.
and women. Yes, men and women. We just had our last one last week, and I think we had 20 that attended. Again, these are volunteers. They're taking time from their life to come to a meeting to learn about how to open a maternity home for women. And they see the need in this area, Northwest Indiana and Valparaiso. So we've gotten that all we're going down that road. Actually, we are looking at property. So we've had fundraisers. We have a lot more money that we need to raise. We have a grant writer that we've hired. She's working diligently in trying to get us funds because let's face it, Valparaiso is a very expensive town to live in, let alone to get a large enough home. We want a home that can fit 5 to 6 women, so that means 5 or 6 bedrooms, and then that will house also their child. Now, we are only doing this for the baby and mama at this time, so we have partnered with other non-for-profits. If they have other children, they will help with those other children. If they don't have family members that can help take care of those other children, which that would be better. If they had a family that says we can come along and help with the child, we just can't help with your recovery or with your being pregnant again or whatever that looks like, that would be great. But we have partnered with, I don't know if you've heard of Bringing Children Hope. It's another ministry here in town, and they have compassion families that will help take care of our other babies, children that this mama may have. And that's a hard decision, and we will encourage as much as possible for her to also have see those other children as much as possible. If they are in the state custody, she will still hopefully be able to have rights to those kids to see them regularly. So we want to encourage that interaction. Even though she's having a new baby, we want the other children to still know that mama still loves them and they can see them as much as possible. So we are in the fundraising
there because as you talk through all this it's complicated too. It's not easy, and it's not as easy of like, okay, finding a woman who's pregnant that needs a home and we got a home and bringing her in. Like there are layers that come with this, and I think for the listener too, or if you're hearing about this, or if you're in the community, it's that showing compassion, grace, and at the end of the day, is you're just trying to provide a service that helps the mom, helps the baby, and doing the best for everybody. But there's so many layers of complication, so I just wanted to pause real quick there.
I always said the first thing that I want once a woman is can come into our program, because there's criteria that she has to meet. So let's say that she's ready to come into our program. The first thing I want her to do is when she comes in our doors is to feel loved. Yeah. I don't have to push Jesus on her.
Right.
I have to show her Jesus by showing her through me, by showing her this home that we've allowed her to live in, to make her just take a deep breath and say, okay, I can breathe a minute. I have food in front of me. I can just pause and just get my life situated, because there's trauma involved in all this.
Yes.
They're leaving possibly their other children. They have, we don't know the layers, like you said, that this woman is getting to. Maybe she's been sleeping in her car. We've had that situation come to our attention. Yeah. We just don't know what trauma they've dealt with to get into our doors. So let's take a minute and just love on her if she allows that.
Yeah, I love that.
And then start the process. And so when I say a process that we have getting into our home, it's not like she's just going to come into the home and just say, okay, I'm here.
Right.
Until I have my baby, I'm just going to lounge around and just, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Because this is about changing, transforming her and her child's life. So she's going to come into her home and she has to sign actual documents saying, I'm going to go to recovery classes. I'm going to see a counselor if necessary. I'm going to go to nutrition classes, go see my family doctor, go see my OBGYN, go to any services needed, celebrate recovery type classes.
Right.
Whatever's needed to get this lady on track. We want to start discharge on the day of entry, meaning we want to know what does it look like being out of this house?
Yeah.
Not to say that we want you out, but to say we don't want to have the situation that happened with the lady that came into my home. She had nowhere to go if I hadn't come into her life.
Yeah.
So we want to know, okay, this is what it's going to look like outside of our doors. And so let's start from there. She has to have a job within 30 days, unless she just had the baby. And then that, she'll have to go through some maternity leave. But we want her to know, okay, so we have to get you a job. What does that look like? We also have a give back program. So she will give 10% back to our program. So when she starts working, we'll take 10%. That 5% will go to a savings account. 5% will go to her living expenses. Now, this isn't a lot of money,
Right.
but this will give her some self give back of herself. It's not a free program.
Right.
I have to work hard to be in my next stage of life, right?
Right.
And so people think that's what I think people need to see is we want to change her life. We want to help her change her life. We know that there are resources out there for mom and babies. We just have to get it to her and give her hope that she can do this.
Right. Generational changing too, of
Generational.
like breaking that cycle.
Yes.
She's having the baby, setting her up for success and loving on her. And sometimes at the end of the day that's what people just need to be loved, seen, encouraged.
Yeah.
And they can do amazing things when they have those things. So,
And like we want her to she needs to go to church. She's got to pick her church that she'd like to go to. But here's the thing is there's church trauma in a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And so by getting her back into church, we are going to also get baby into church. And we're going to change. We're praying that we'll change the way that this new baby is going to be brought up. That maybe that baby won't have the church trauma or the trauma that this poor young girl has gotten into by going. And so we know that church is good. We know that the community in our churches is we have to bring ourselves around that. We've talked to doctors in the community and they said what is lacking with people today is community. I talked about our family coming together on Sundays and having a meal together. We don't have that as much anymore. We don't have families that are staying together. People don't have communities because you don't have to with social media. You have your phone. You can talk to people right there, right? You don't have to get around the table with people anymore. We want that for our girls. That was so profound when that doctor said that to me. Our society is missing community. So our home is about community. She will have other women that she will commune with, that they will be going through the same things with. We will bring volunteers into our home that will commune with her also, that will help her get to the next steps. Again, we have partnered with other agencies to educate her on motherhood, maybe nutrition, finances. We've even partnered with a bank that will help her one-on-one, give her advice on what to do, how to spend her money, how to have a budget. Multiple, again, layer upon layer upon layer of things that we have to do to get mama well.
It's so amazing. And I just want to comment on the church piece because I could see some people going, oh, you're making her go to church. But at the end of the day I think that they're so, Christians and churches are some of the most, if not the most giving people and who are giving into the community. And I just think about what an amazing opportunity for that mama and baby to potentially find that grandparent or
Yeah.
find people to
Yeah.
love on them. I can remember I had an encounter at church one day and just serving, and a young gal in college like tells me a story, and I want to have her on the podcast, and she was just like, I was praying for a woman like you, like a Christian
Oh,
woman,
oh
and this was
wow.
a college gal, and she just wanted a Christian woman to be a mentor and to listen to her because she didn't have that
Wow.
in her life. And so I look at it from that perspective of what an opportunity for that mama to find maybe those grandparents or someone else, like you guys are helping her in this phase of life, and there's somebody else that God can make that connection with at church to help her along the way. So you don't have a house, like if we wrap up kind of like where you
Yeah.
don't have a house yet, the
Right.
Lord will
Right.
bring that. Like
Right.
where you at in your stage? What's your big need? Yeah, just kind of.
So we have been fundraising. We did actually. I had an investor. So we on last couple. What is it? 2 Wednesdays ago, I was able to speak at a church, a local church, about our ministry. That's where you got to hear me also speak. Did you?
I wasn't
You
there.
came
I
in?
wasn't there.
Oh,
I
you
didn't
didn't
end
come
up
much.
coming,
Okay.
which is
Yeah.
a
So
good
it
thing
was
because I
a.
kind of was glad. I was like, wait, I want to hear like everything today.
So we were able just to give our story again, and there was a lady that heard the story, and she reached out to me days later and said, "My families are investors. We have commercial properties, and so there's a possibility that we could buy this house that's in town for sale, and then we figure out how to get it rehabbed."
Hmm.
And so I was like, oh, okay. It's just kind of, so she gave me the address of the house. I have been looking this house for since May. I saw the house in May. This house needs some help. Let me tell you, she needs to more or less be rebuilt. I mean, she has a shell.
Yeah.
Everything's been taken out of the house, and so the house is priced well. I mean, it's a lower
Yeah.
end house, but it could have 5 or 6 bedrooms. It's 2 blocks away from Lincoln Way, which is right downtown.
Right.
So the reason for Valpo was because it has everything that it needs. It has transit, it has the V line,
Yeah.
has all of the services that a woman would need to get what she needs. And so everything on this house checks the box, except for it's inhabitable. So the investor from his wife had went into the house with their son that wants to get into investment.
Okay.
And so she said, this is the Harbor house. This could be the house for the Harbor. And he's like, well, Mom, I want to have this for my investment. She said, well, maybe, he's like, are you saying I should buy this house for them? And she said, maybe. And so we've met with them. We're meeting them again this week. And so if God sees that may be an option for us, that's what we may be doing. And so
Oh,
it
I
may be
love it.
6 months of rehabbing a home. We have some resources. We definitely are going to have a lot more to get this done. I have put it out there and asked God am I supposed to stop working? My goal, I was hoping to be able to stop working the first of the year. I don't know that would be what's going to happen due to this, what's going on here. We won't have a home. We'll have, this property. And so, there's a lot of what ifs and possibly, but we have people that actually want to stand behind us and say, because a lot of people say, we'll help you once you get a house. We'll help you once you get a house. And I'm
Right.
like, well, we have to get a house to be
Yeah.
able to go the next step, right? And so this investor says, if this is a God thing, then I think we should do it.
Yeah, we're
Um,
not going to
uh,
stand in the way of that.
yeah,
And I love, so you said Harbor House, but that's the first time you've said it. So can
yes,
you, for the audience, like say the name and then like
yes,
the reason behind the name and how you came up with that? Because I
yes,
love it and I know what it looks
yes.
like.
So our actual name is the Harbor NWI, NWI Inc. And so we have our EIN number.
Yeah.
Yay. We have our official name for the state. So we have that done. We're still under Bella Vita, but we have, at least that step is done, and we're working
Right.
our own 501c3. So
Yeah.
that's a little hiccup because now it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So the harbor is what we go by. And the reason it's very broad, we don't call it, we don't necessarily call it the harbor home. Although this will be like one step. This will be a division of the harbor. We
Yeah.
foresee the harbor being multiple things.
Mm-hmm.
When my daughter and I were just kind of like talking about what should we name this, Bella Vita is named after a baby that was in their care. And so we thought about going down that road and even naming it after the little girl that was in my house. And then we said, we foresee this as being a huge ministry to our, what if we have another, like a transition home or a pregnancy
Right.
center, whatever God shows us we need to do. But at this time we said, we're going to just call it the harbor. And it's a place to harbor, come back in, just to fill your soul. It just felt right.
Yeah. And
And
isn't
so-
your logo a lighthouse? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a lighthouse. We have a couple with a big H, and then we have a lighthouse with an H. And those boats out in the waters are looking for that. They're looking for their harbor. They're looking for, their safe place to go. And we want our home to be a safe place for a mom to go and take care of her little one. And we want to be that for this community. So, we're really working hard to get this going. It's been a blessing to start this ministry. It's definitely out of my wheelhouse, but in a year's time, it's amazing how much I have learned. I can't imagine what another year is going to look like. Hopefully by then we'll have a home with women in it.
Yeah, yes, you're gonna have to come back on and share the next part of the story. But I think I'm glad you said that because it's only been a year and God can do so much when we're willing, and that year was gonna pass by anyways, and might as well be doing it. That's something that the Lord's calling you to do. And so any final parting words for the listener?
Well, follow us on Facebook.
Yeah, I'll put all
Harbor
the links and
NWI.
everything
Okay,
below.
wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, we'll do all that.
You know what? I would love for people just to pray for us, number one.
Yeah.
And God's leading us, and God to make us faithful with what He's saying. That can be scary sometimes because I feel like sometimes I'm going into waters that are very uncharted for me. But God already has a home for us.
Yeah,
we know
He
that.
does.
God has a home for us. He knows the women that are going to go to that home. He knows the board that has been picked for the harbor. He knows every step. I just have to trust Him. Yeah. And, we have a whole prayer team, and they have prayed over me when I have worry and just feel like I feel heavy with everything going on. And I am telling you, once I had that, even the last time they prayed over me, I just felt that God was just taking all of it away. Why am I worried? God, you already have this taken care of.
Yeah.
And so I would just encourage others, go out on a limb sometimes. Go with what your gut's telling you. If you feel that you feel that this is something God is wants you to do, try it, do it. Talk to your friends about it. Go to your church. Ask if they would surround you. Is this something you should do? Talk to your friends and family. That's what I did, and look, here we are.
And what's the worst that could happen, right?
What's the worst that could happen?
I think that's a perfect way to end today. And Gina, just thank you so much for coming on here, being honest, sharing your story. And I will drop all the links below for anybody if they want to make a donation, follow you on social media, and like you said, pray. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And just another story of what only God can do, sharing stories only God could write. Hey, friends. Thank you for joining me today on the Only God podcast. I hope today's story encouraged your faith and reminded you that God is still writing our stories each and every day. If you were inspired by this episode, please share, subscribe, and tell a friend. And to stay connected with me and find out about all my books and resources and events, go to shineforwardcreative.com. Have a fabulous day.